I think I found an abandoned railroad turntable, sort of. Coming to you today from the Lehigh Gorge area. In front of me here is the ruins and remnants of what is called the CNJ, Central New Jersey Turntable number 3. This is something I've known about for a while now. I've heard people talk about it. I've seen the signs, but never got to the location firsthand to see it for myself. And that's what we're doing today. We believe we found it. There's a big wall here. There's more wall down the road, and there's a CNJ turntable sign with a pathway. So myself and Mr. RJ78 Productions are going to check it out today and show you what is left of this. It may be something worth checking out for yourself, maybe something to pass over, but at least through our videos, you'll know what to expect if you come here for yourself. So come along with me for another adventure. So once you find the sign, follow the arrow. And we're gonna follow Mr. RJ. Now my gut instinct would be to probably come in the winter time when there's not so much greenery and foliage, even though it does look lush and beautiful and gives you some ample shade. It may hide some artifacts, some structures, some foundations, but that will be determined. But that's just my gut instinct. Usually when you're looking for stuff like this, fall, winter, spring is the best time to come. But we're following this big wall here, which does go alongside the roadway. Oh yeah, like a chalet.
Chalet, there you go. My skiing expert here.
Yeah, beautiful home up there.
Like this is probably it.
So down below right here is a big clearing, which we're going to try to get up to. But we're kind of on a little slight elevation, a little slope here. It may have been rails here at one point. There was a stone wall right here, which I showed earlier. And we got a concrete wall here. So we're kind of in between levels. And it is going uphill at a slight grade. So as we come around the turn, actually some more to see. Are doing to the left to follow the path. I'm going to go off in this direction and see if there's anything over here. There's a lesser worn path. Okay, yeah, there is some stuff here. Ooh, what is that? There's a hole here. There's a pipe there. Some type of foundation of sorts. At the very least, if we don't find anything significant, it's a nice little path to walk here as part of the Lehigh Gorge area. Just gotta duck behind the leaves and stuff. Okay, so we came to a little water channel here. Ooh, I just discovered that. Wow. Okay. There is at least something here to check out. Let me go a slight bit further. Ooh, and make sure there's nothing up here, and then we'll backtrack and focus on that. Here looks like some, I thought it was piping at first, it looks like shale. It's all crumbly. Yes, there is more up here. Okay, I don't think RJ's even aware of this. We found, at least I found, some foundations here. Here's a railroad tie. Yep, there was tracks here at one time. There's ties still on the ground. Wow, this is pretty big. Now I couldn't find any information or history related directly to the turntable here, but it was part of the CNJ, Central New Jersey Railroad spiders. And there is plenty of information about that. So down in the description, I will post a link to one of the websites that will give you some information as to the history and the dates of the operation of the Central New Jersey Railroad. But if those of you who are local happen to know anything about this area as to what we're showing in the video, would love to have your input. But I'm not going to be able to share anything other than what I see before my eyes here. And I am covered in spider webs. All right, enough of my face. Let's continue onwards. So I'm walking on the wall here, literally, and I'm not sure if this was a building or for equipment. I want to say possibly equipment. There's these brick supports with big bolts coming out of them, like something was mounted there. And the railroad tracks, as we saw, come right up to the edge. So maybe this was a fueling station? Really, truly don't know. But whatever was here was a pretty significant size. Oh! Never thought I'd get excited over a fire hydrant, but look at that. That looks like a fire hydrant, right? Or that may, I don't know. What do you guys think? Is that a fire hydrant or just a water valve? It's just sticking out of the ground here, though. That is pretty cool. So, something obviously to do with water. We know that part. Yeah, I honestly didn't know this much was here. And I searched on YouTube for videos of this, and I can't find anything. Everything is featuring the train activity or the falls, but nothing on the turntable area here. So I'm glad to be able to make this video for you guys. If you come here, you can find it for yourself. I'm actually parked right there, so there is parking right near it. I'm going to go to the end of it here and give you some visuals. Oh, almost slid off. Yeah, so we're looking where we just came from. I'm actually going to set you guys down like I always like to do. I'm going to hop down in there and give you a size comparison as to how it looks compared to myself. Now, you do got to watch. There is spider webs everywhere, so this might not be the best time of year to come. Also, there could be snakes here, but I'm willing to take the risk. I'm going to go a little bit in. I don't want to walk too deep into it. I don't have the proper clothing. I don't want to get ticks and stuff, but just want to give you an idea. I'm going to take you down here with me to show you what it looks like. So right here we got a lip where something probably sat on there. Some more of these big bolts coming out. And it's a combination of brick and concrete. You can see some more bolts sticking out there. And as I did mention, there are spider webs everywhere. And these supports here, these brick supports, all of them are uniform in line, and all of them have these big bolts sticking out. So the only thing I could tell you is that something was sitting on here. These were supports for either equipment, machinery, or something else. Still a chance it could have been a structure, but just based on what I'm seeing, I would imagine this is something that probably had something to do with the service of the railroad equipment. Actually, thinking of it too, this could have been like a type of platform, where rails could have went straight across here too. There could have been an elevated rail tracks here, maybe for maintenance or service. That's also a possibility, because if there was something on top of here, it would have been level with the ground over there where those ties are. So a lot of possibilities. I'm just putting out whatever I could think of related to what I'm seeing here. But if you guys have any guesses, I definitely want to hear from you. So even if you're not familiar with what you're seeing, leave your feedback, leave a guess. It never hurts to throw something out there. Every once in a while, everyone gets lucky and has a good guess. So I don't think RJ even knows I'm over here. So I'm going to get back to where he is, which is back in that area. And yeah, we'll go see what's over there. We do know there's a round structure up on top. So I'm going to get up on top of here, I think, and leap. Be my easiest way, so I'll keep you guys rolling here. Got another spider web. They're everywhere. I don't want to have spiders crawling on me. Oh, okay. Okay, so I'm going to go from here to here. All right, 1, 2, 3. Okay. I'm gonna snap a few photos along the way and I'll meet you back up over there. All right, so we just made it from that area. We just showed you those foundations and supports coming out of the ground. And as I spin you around, we do have our next item here, just up the hill here, which is some type of circular structure. It looks like a doorway to it. So we're gonna climb up the hill and check that out and maybe add another piece to that puzzle. Now there are some very vague pathways here. So people have been here before. Also up in the distance there is some homes. So there is property boundaries further up. We're okay where we are, but there is posted signs. So if you do come here, be respectful of those. Stay on the park grounds. No reason to go onto someone's property here. But, okay. This looks pretty cool. Let's check it out. Well now, this is a pretty good size. First looks at it, looks like a miniature turntable. 100% it's not. Turntables would be flat on the ground. They would not be hollow underneath. Number two, there's a doorway there. I'm thinking, based on the size of this, and what I've seen in other locations, this looks like a water tower base. And there's RJ, he found it too. So it looks like this is the base of a water tower, and it would have been to refuel the water into the locomotives, which would be right down below where we saw the railroad ties. So I'm pretty certain that's what we're looking at here. So I just caught up with RJ for a bit. He came from the turntable area, which we're going to be going to next. He did say there is some stuff worth checking out still left to kind of explore. But this is really cool. This is one of the larger water tank foundations I've seen, and it's completely made out of stone. The archway still intact, and it's just completely awesome. It's just sitting here kind of preserved. There's no graffiti, no vandalism, minus some stones that are pushed over. It could have been natural, but it is completely incredible just to find it here. I've driven by this numerous times, and as we just saw, a car just went by. This is only maybe 50 feet from the road. So here is the manway. It is kind of like a doorway to get inside underneath the water tank, water tower. Even though it's built for a specific use for refueling locomotives with water, it is beautifully done though. Like, they built this by hand. It's all stacked stone, mortared together. But I just love this little archway here. As we go inside though, camera probably doesn't pick up as to how large it is. You can also hear an echo in here too, with the circumference and the walls facing you. And RJ noted too, there's a pipe here heading off in that direction, which leads us to believe that probably goes down to the area that we saw before, what looked like a fire hydrant. I'm almost certain that has something to do with it, or goes over towards that building, but we're actually standing underneath a water tower. Above us here would be probably a wooden tank, maybe metal, depending on if it was replaced or updated at all. And the way they work is that there's a kind of a pipe, a spring-loaded pipe that would lower down to refill the locomotives with water. If this is indeed not that, then this is at least a water supply source for this part of the railroad area. So if I am incorrect about it not refilling the locomotives, it was at least a water tower that's used for whatever needs that were met. But the rails would have been right down there, and as we saw, there are ties down there. There's a well down there, which we saw. I saw that hole in the ground RJ thinks it's a well. So regardless of what the actual use is, it is pretty neat. It's another part of railroading history, and you guys know me. I love anything to do with railroading, whether it's full scale, miniature, on a 4x8 table, walking abandoned rails, finding old ruins. It's just my enjoyment to share it and document all of this stuff with you guys. And now you know there is stuff to come see here if you want to come check it out for yourself. But now that we saw this, let's go to the final and main portion we came to look for, and that's the turntable. So quick recap, I actually walked right by this, didn't even know it. We did see the wall because we originally came up this path here. RJ followed it, I went off in that direction, and did point out the wall, but did not realize that was up on top of it. So now we're gonna go the way that we missed before where RJ went, and that's gonna lead us right to the turntable. Now, we're walking into basically right in front of us. It's a circumference here. And as we can see, it is growing in significantly. And as I mentioned earlier, coming during the winter time would probably be best. But there is still stuff to see. So as we look, this is curved. It is a complete circle. There is bolts everywhere around it. You can see some notches cut out here too. But we're gonna follow the path around the other side. Here's a pipe too. Now, I was briefly incorrect before. I was saying about that water tower foundation that a turntable wouldn't be hollow underneath. It kind of is, because as you can see, this is a pit. It's sunken down. That's because the turntable would be level with where I'm standing, and the supports of it that goes around on the rail would be down in the pit. So even though, you know, it is a sunken down base here, it's not like that where it's made out of stone that can't support locomotives. So I just wanted to correct myself that it's kind of right on the border there. It is hollow, but it's not hollow below this. So what we're seeing is the upper portion of the turntable. Down there is the pit where the rail would have went around, and the turntable loading arm would be sitting down inside of there. But just looking, it is really, really thick. But RJ did say that if we go all the way around, there should be a way to get down kind of inside of it to see a little bit of it. You almost wouldn't realize this was here if you didn't come to see for yourself. Yeah, there's a little bit of an area here. We're going to keep going though. And looking out to my left hand side, there's some planks of wood here. Not sure what those are for. They don't look terribly old. But back here is a nice rock face. And looks like maybe a railroad tie. Okay, we can see some stuff now. Yeah, here's some big metal mounts here. The bolts and nuts are still there. And there might be something down there worth seeing. We're going to try to find a way down inside of there. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna find a way down inside. Once we get down there, I'm gonna show you what I can from down there. So, be right back. Okay, we made it down inside. Had to do a little bushwhacking, and I got some stuff stuck to me here. Little spiky balls. So here we are, down inside of the turntable. There's a lot of wood planks, some railroad ties, and what we're looking at here, for those of you who are familiar with a turntable, we've seen one many times at the Steamtown complex there. This lip here would have had a rail, a single track rail that went around the entire diameter, and the loading platform, if you want to call it that sits inside the turntable would ride on the rails. It'd be one area that rides on one side, one on the other to help distribute the weight, and a motor would power one of the wheels to make it turn. So it is, for the most part, intact here. You know, there are bolts here sticking out. The concrete's still pretty much solid. No graffiti, which is good. There is numerous objects down here, as I mentioned, railroad ties and such. But this is as close as you could come to coming to like almost a forgotten, abandoned roundhouse turntable. And pretty much the reason for turntables, there's a couple of reasons. Number one is for putting the locomotives in storage in the roundhouse. I don't believe there's a roundhouse here that I could see. This was probably used just to turn the locomotive around to switch it into a different direction. They also use them for getting them off the rails to, you know, to put them into a service bay of sorts. Again, there's numerous information out there that you can research for yourself better than I can explain. I'm not very good at explaining stuff, but needless to say, it is a really awesome find. As it's hot and muggy today, but thankfully it is shady, so you know, you take the good with the bad. Not really much to see visually though. You can't really I can't really snap any good pictures. I'll take one or two that I could. You can't see from the air. You know, RJ bought his drone, but you can't see much. Oh, I actually just found something else. Hang on. Let's go into the center here, because there is the center foundation where the pin would have been. Ooh. Yes, so this is the halfway point. I'm trying to get you a good visual here. So this is a big square concrete pad which sits right in the middle. So, you know, the arm that goes across the loading platform, the middle of it would sit right here, and it would go straight across in front of me and behind me. And it's cool because standing right here, I'm talking. It might not pick it up on camera, but you can actually hear an echo. It's really, really strange. I could hear it as if someone's talking over there, my voice bouncing back at me. So it's a really unique acoustic setup here. When you stand right in the middle, no matter which way you talk, your voice is thrown right back at you. So if you're able to come here, do what I'm doing, stand here right in the middle and talk, and you'll hear what I'm talking about. But it is something worth checking out, you know. I'm sorry if I did a bad job of trying to explain how it works, or the not using the proper terminology, but I explain it the way I would explain to someone who's not really familiar with it. So RJ's right up there on the edge, and I'm talking towards him. I can hear myself echoing, but he can't hear it. So it's only when you're standing down here, when you're down inside the walls. But awesome find. Let's explore a little bit more, see if there's anything else around here before we wrap it up. You never know, we may find something else. And speaking of trains and turntables, we got Reading Northern 425 heading back to Jim Thorpe. By the way, I planned that. I called them and said, roll through now. We want some railroad sound effects. But we just checked further down the path. There's nothing down there. It looks like it definitely was a spur or a rail line at one point, because it is level enough, wide enough. But we do have a bonus segment to share with you. It's actually a structure. I'm not going to give it away yet, but we're going to head there now. And even though we can't get inside of it, we will be able to see it from the outside. So let's head over and check it out. So aside from seeing some abandoned railroad structures and historical things, there are some beautiful views to be seen as well. Looking through the valley here, But the river below us, it's quite picturesque. And we're going to be following the trail, and you see the building off in the distance. That is our little bonus item. So once we get closer, we will give you some views of that and let you know exactly what it is. So I'm going to raise it up over the fence here, and here we are. We actually spotted this. We were here last week following number 425 along her route, and we weren't quite sure what this is, but the one thing we are certain of is that it's on railroad property, so we can't get in there to check it out. It is considered trespassing, though it is abandoned. It does have the open door policy, but this is a CNJ terminal. RJ did do a little digging on it, and it had something to do with the operations, probably for communication, but it is a CNJ terminal station. So that's what's left of it. It is severely decayed. A little bit of graffiti and vandalism. There's actually 3 floors if you include the basement, and part of the floor is actually sunken down into the basement, and the second floor the rafters are exposed, so it is not really a safe structure to get into. But it is still standing, and the train tracks, as you can see, are pretty much right next to it. So I'm going to be including some footage in just a moment of us seeing this from the train ride, because we're actually going to be doing that today. So you'll get a visual of it as we're approaching it on the Lehigh Gorge Scenic Railway. But just want to include this because it is part of CNJ Railroad, as was the turntable. And figure it's worth documenting. There's something else here to see. It is literally right along the trail here, so you can get good visuals of it. Just don't attempt to cross the fence and go in there. If you get caught, 100% you are going to be prosecuted. They don't really mess around with that kind of stuff. I know firsthand.
Traveling, leads us into the Greater Northern Train Line and into the entrance where we have our church park.
Here is the switch tower terminal station.
Controlled all the train movements in this area down through the junction until April of 72.
1972, she became abandoned. All right, so hopefully you enjoyed the footage as we just showed you from our train ride, riding past this terminal station. But I do want to thank you for watching today. This has been actually a pleasant surprise. No anticipation on what we found today that we were going to see as much as we did. And once again, it turned out to be even better than we thought. Even if we found nothing, it was still worth documenting, as I didn't find any videos on these particular items. And that way, if you do come here, if you're doing a vacation or just want to do some hiking, exploring, you do know there is some railroading history, some ruins, remnants, foundations, structures, as we just saw. So I definitely highly recommend you check it out if you are into this type of stuff. Again, down below in the description, you'll find a link to the CNJ History. And of course, you'll find a link to RJ's channel as well. Thanks to him for coming with me today. We're wrapping this up right now because we're actually getting ready to board the train. So we're kind of doing this in the future, but that will be out in a separate video. Definitely encourage you to check it out. I'll also post a link too to my chase of the Reading Northern number 425. I like to call her the Blue Beauty. We spent over 6 hours filming her debut runs for 2020, and we got some incredible footage made for an awesome video. If you like steam trains in general, if you like drone footage, if you like chasing trains in a car, all of that plus more is in that video. Anyways, guys, thanks for tuning in today. Hope you have a fantastic week ahead of you. And until next time, I'll see all of you in the next video. Hey guys. All right, that's not what I want to do. I found an abandoned railroad turntable, sort of. Coming to you today from the Lehigh Gorge area, and in front of me is the ruins. Let's try it again. Take 127.